Hello everybody, this is Toys R Us, and for this new figure showcase and review, we're going to be looking at the Armada Nemesis Prime with, of course, the Air Defense Mini-Con team as well. So in this video, we're going to have a detailed look at him in both of his modes, help you decide how you want to display him. Same with the Mini-Con team. We are, of course, going to be comparing him with the original owner of the mold. I'm going to bring in a few other Nemesis Primes as well, just to see how he looks and displays with them. And of course, we can see just how much Starscream's original Star Saber sword has had an upgrade as well. So as I start to maneuver all of these out of the way, I'd like to remind anybody who's not subscribed to the channel, if I'd hit that subscribe button for me now, please, because it really will help me out. And also to thank In Demand Toys in the UK, because that's where I got this from, and they got it to me very quickly and safely. Before we have a look at the figure, though, I think we definitely need to appreciate the packaging. This is definitely, I think, one of the first of its kind, or indeed in a long time since we've had a box like this. Now, I've even took this out to show you this, because again, we haven't really had much of a backdrop, even not with the Studio series recently, but this one's got a brilliant one. On the side of the box, we've got the Mini-Con team there, which you can see, and then of course it just says Armada Nemesis Prime at the front with the new font, with the new logo, and that's pretty much him there in the robot mode, which I'm going to save till the end of the video, because let's be honest, it's definitely the best of the two modes. Now, you've probably already noticed that I've uploaded the transformation processes and combining of the Star Saber tutorials separately, and the main reason for that is to keep the length of the video down, and of course for people who don't want it spoiled for themselves, they won't have to see it. I also want to show you that he comes packaged in a plastic bubble like this, with the sword again separately on the top. The background we'll have a little bit of a more detailed look at when we get him into robot mode, but we're going to start off with the alternate mode. And as I say, I think that's because, if we're all being super honest, it's definitely the weakest of the modes, because it doesn't have his trailer. I've got no answer or explanation why he doesn't have his trailer, because as you can see by the giant hands in the back, he still does have his super mode. So maybe they'll do something later in the future, I really don't know. It's a shame really, because I think that turquoise is beautiful. I also like the red translucent windshield. I know that some people aren't necessarily a fan of translucent plastic, but I think it really works when it's red, and I think it definitely works for Nemesis Prime figures. So as I say, the alternate mode, it's still the same as the Armada one here, of course, the normal Optimus. So you've got all of the wheels, which of course are on their own individual pins, which roll around no problem, which is great. These are the silver. I think the silver's slightly darker. It is, yeah, the silver is slightly darker on, I don't think they're smokestacks, but they're blasters, which we'll have a look at in a second. The silver's definitely darker on the grill as well. The wheels look to be the same colour, and then everything else obviously is the really obvious different colours. All the 5mm ports are all the way around it, which you can see. There's obviously no Autobot logo on the top of that, and as far as I'm aware, the blasters, yep, identical, even the same color, so there's no difference with the blasters whatsoever. If we have a quick look underneath, again, you can just see that the gray parts are indeed that little bit darker. Right, we'll have a look at him again in more detail when we come back in robot mode, but let's see what we can do with this. So because he is covered in 5mm ports, you can attach blasters here, there and everywhere with him. So again, you can use both of them if you want to, and of course they are blast effect compatible because of the hole on there. What I'll do is I'll grab some blast effects ready for when we get him into robot mode, but I'm just showing you can do that. You could also, if you wanted to, sort of attach things to the back. There's so many ports on this, it is crazy. But with regards to the Star Saber, which, to be honest, let's have a look at that in the alternate modes as well. These are, I love the fact that we're getting mini-cons now, and I know this is making a lot of people really happy, to be honest. And of course, the fact that they combine is a huge bonus. I think pretty much now, let's be honest, we could be expecting quite a few more of them, especially if they continue to be building or making, shall we say, more Armada figures. The only thing that, as I suppose, well, again, size and shape shifting doesn't really matter, does it, when it comes to Transformers? Because of course we've got space shuttles and jets here that are nowhere near the same size as the main bot. I was just looking if there's ways, or perhaps that you can attach these, you know, toots if you wanted to. I suppose you could do, but again, it's not really for that. The alternate modes for these, though, are pretty good considering they're basic. They're about, in fact, they're bigger than Micromaster size scale, and I'll again prove that. Perhaps, here you go, nice and easy with that. I suppose that's the only thing that's, no, that's still not in scale, but the jet is much bigger than the ambulance. There we go. Let's have a look at these. I like the color scheme on them. I think they really work, and it's nice to see, as I've said, some mini cons in this particular setup. But to be honest, guys, I really don't think there's much more to say about this particular mode. Just for a bit of fun, we'll bring in the Hot Wheels Nemesis Prime. I'm going to bring in some other figures again, just if you don't own the original owner of them all, if you don't originally own the Armada cab, just to give you an idea of how big he is. So that, of course, is your Earthrise cab. That is just the same size as a Generation 1 cab. And then just for a bit of fun, because he's always here, I've knocked Nemesis Prime over. I bring in a deluxe figure. I tend to bring in ones usually that most people have got. I appreciate most people probably haven't got that. But then here you go, one last Voyager class figure, just to give you an idea of size and scale. But that really is all there is to say about this particular mode. Let's come right back, have a look in his robot mode and see how good he is with the Star Saber. Okay, then we're back with him in his robot mode, and indeed the Minicon team as well. So I think we'll have a quick look at the Minicon team first and foremost. And I know they're known as Minicons, but I suppose to myself, they're just basically like little Micromasters, to be honest. That's pretty much what they remind me exactly of. And funnily enough, I've got a Generation 1 there, and I've got an Earthrise one here as well, which I think again just sort of confirms that, oh no, maybe they're just, yeah, maybe they're about the same size. They're a little bit more intricate. There's a little bit more going on with them. But yeah, they're just basically like that, aren't they? Let me just move these guys out of the way and we can start off with, in fact, we might as well start off with this one right here. This one is, of course, Minicon Jetstorm. Nice bit of detail there on the head. I don't believe that you can turn it. It does look like it's just completely molded there. Sorry, that's taking away the focus. So let me move that. The arms that are on ball and sockets. Now, this is the only one that I've had sort of an issue with. And what I mean by that is this pops off incredibly easy. That wasn't with any real force, if you know what I mean. When it comes to the transformation, in fact, I'll do it late. There you go. I don't normally do the transformations, but I will combine him just for this particular video as well. And you'll see that there is a knee bend, but that's about the only thing. And it could be to do with the fact of how hollow the back is. But again, that is for transformation, and you'll see that in a second. But overall, a great little Micromaster figure, let's be honest. Right, let's move on to Minicon Runway. And again, a lovely little head sculpt. No movement there, definitely. Again, the arms have got their biceps. There's ball and sockets at the legs. There is knee bend in the hips. And there's also, I suppose, toe tilt. But that is, of course, mainly for transformation purposes. Let's keep him there. Is he going to stand for me? Probably not. And again, I'm useless at posing figures. I do admit that. In fact, let's just move you there. Let's move on to the last one, which is, of course, Sonar. This guy, I think, looks the best. The colour scheme on him is fantastic. The blue really pops, and the ball and sockets for the heels. But he's really chunky, and he's quite limited with his movement, to be honest. The big thing as well that I've noticed is if you see this bit is grey on the back of all the product images, all the product shots on the box, and especially here you can see that it's white. In any of the promotional images you'll see of him online as well, it's white. It doesn't make too much of a difference. It just confused me earlier when I was trying to transform him. The ball and sockets at the shoulders are really stiff, which is good. The arms, you can have extended arms if you wanted to, a bit like Go-Go Gadget arms if you want to go all the way down, but then it's got some strange extra hinges in there. And the head doesn't swivel again, it is molded in. So they're nice and basic, but that's, I suppose, what you'd expect for them. With regards to size, there's a Blockies, there's a Core Class Spike, here's a Hot Wheels Prime. So yeah, as I say, they're definitely around about Micromaster scale and indeed size. So let's move these out of the way and then have a look, of course, at the main man himself, the Nemesis Prime. But at the same time, I'm going to bring up this, as I say, because I think this is quite important. So many people have mentioned and talked about backdrops, and especially missing from Studio Series 86. Now you can, if you want to, you can see, and I'm not going to do it with mine, you can cut the tape there at the back and you can fold this right out, and you can fold it up at the top as well. And this tends to work really quite well, because I saw this at San Diego Comic-Con, and I think it really does work for it. So for anybody who wanted the backdrops back, you've got one with this particular figure. And as I say, I think it looks really good, and it was definitely worth noting. Right, the figure itself, though, as I say, if you've got this mold, in fact, let's do this first and foremost. There's nothing different apart from the color scheme and, of course, the very obvious head sculpt, which we will have a much detailed look at in a second. So let's put them like that. In fact, let's readjust this camera. It seems to have moved. There we go. And let's drop down a teeny little bit. That's it. They're all in shot now. So let's do a couple of quarter turns. You can see again the difference is the translucent plastic. It's just colours. The only thing, as I say, that's physically different by the looks of it is the head sculpt. Even the inside of the wheels, yeah, they look to be exactly the same. They both still have the matrix Is this one any different? Slightly darker ruby red in the middle of it. And yeah, again, just paint schemes, nothing really different at all. So let's move him out of the way. And then let's bring in, I'll bring in some other primes in a second, but let's look at this new head, which is very, very detailed. It looks really mangled up, to be honest. Hopefully you can sort of, it's trying to focus on there, isn't it? Yeah, there you can sort of see it's really mangled up, which looks really good. The eye looks very, very intimidating from that side. I wonder if I can get it to zoom in a little bit better for you. Yeah, there you go. That looks lovely, if that's what you want to look like anyway. Right, let's move it out. So the head will still turn all around. It can look up and down. The shoulders will go. Now this is confusing me because on the picture it's got these over the tires, but I'm pretty sure that you would bring it all the way over like that. But again, on any of the pictures it hasn't got them. I suppose it's, you know, to your personal preference at the end of the day, but yeah, they must definitely need to go there so you can do the full articulation and indeed maneuver this around. And once again, that is on the promotional packages. You will see that this is not in the right place, so that will go all the way around. You've got the full T, you've got the additional movement there if you want. There is no waist rotation, of course. That is for super mode, which I think I wasn't going to show you, but I know I'm going to get loads of questions on it, so I might as well do it. With regards to the legs, you can take these out to the side, no problem. You can come forward. They are on ratchets, which you can hear, and you can move these back as well to go all the way back there. So loads of rotation, loads of articulation, knee bends, again ratchets, toe tap, ankle tilt, rock, super articulated. I was going to say what you'd expect for a Voyager class figure, which I'm sure, you know, this particular part of the cab actually is. Let's bring in a few others. In fact, you know, I don't know, maybe it is, maybe it's not. You let me know. There, of course, that's your Siege Nemesis Prime. I'm just bringing up a few more figures just to give you an idea of size and scale. There's a very wonky Megatron. There is a huge Prime. I like to bring in, as I say, pretty much main characters, ones that you've seen before, so you get an idea of just, I suppose, yeah, the scale and size. That is, of course, Commander class, which is quite a bit taller. We've got a G1 here. I haven't done Earthrise yet. That's my Earthrise one. And then, funnily enough, just because he's here as well, there's a decent, great big chunky Megatronus figure. So hopefully, as I say, that gives you an idea of how big he is. He is nice and chunky. Let's get the blasters as I promised, and again, just to prove that the blast effects do still work in this. I'm hoping they do now, because I've said they do, yes. And of course, again, you can attach more and more parts to it. You can do this, which I think is quite cool, to be honest. You can take these off, attach these to the blaster. I love things that you can just muck around with. You can just literally pick up, start to muck around with. So you can do that. You've got a powered up blaster there, like so. But then I think, as I say, one of the main parts of this and what people want to see. So again, I've decided to put it in the video. So if I move him out of the way, and hopefully they don't fall apart too much, let's get these guys into the Star Saber. So you need to pretty much have them in their alternate mode. So it's a case of, have I got that the right way around? I probably haven't. I'll forget as I'm doing it. I see I did. I got it wrong. It needs to come forward because these are the wings. That's going to be there. This is going to come around underneath. This is, of course, going to be the handle. We're going to turn the feet into each other, but we're not going to go back to the full jet mode just yet. I'm going to take that out there. I'm going to fold these bits out. And the reason why we're going to do this is so that the handle here can come down like so. And then what we're going to do is we're going to tab this into the back of there like so. So this is going to fit over. And to be honest, this is the most awkward, or that's the one you've got to do the most with. The other ones, you just pretty much, as you'll see, will get them into their alternate mode. So this one, oh, there's a leg popped off that. That was not intentional. I wasn't going to do it just so you can see. Put the feet down, bring the front bit over like so. If you want to see this slow down, there's a much more detailed tutorial actually uploaded on the channel already, and then this will fold, and these will tab into there. But I want to show you a variation that I've done, just so you can let me know what you think of it. The arms are going to again fold up here like so. That's going to tab into there, so you need to bend the bicep back, and this is going to tab and fit into there like so. The only thing, as I say, to be aware of is because the ball and sockets, they do tend to, and you've seen already with mine, pop out. And this one, I think, is perhaps the worst. You'll see in a second. It's not too detrimental. You know, you'd rather the ball and socket pop out than it snap all together. Slide that forward, keep that there. Take the legs, and then we're going to look to rotate this over like so. See what I mean? So I think as long as it holds, and it's held perfect, to be honest, like so. That's gone up there. Right, here we go. Easy bit. These two, the boosters go into the top of that, like so. And then this is where I went wrong loads of times. I was trying to tab the wheel into that hole there. That's not the case. You've got the additional grey tab here, which is where you're going to tab this. See, that needs to push out a little bit more in, and then you can collapse that in there like so. So that is your Star Saber. So that's the proper way, but what you can do as well if you wanted to, it's up to yourself. I didn't want to pop that off. I don't know, sometimes I was spinning this around and lining this up, so it made it look like it was all coming down on a tandem. I don't know what you think of that. I think it perhaps looks a teeny bit better, but for the purpose of the video, I will of course put it the correct way. Oh, excuse me. Right, so let's bring this into, of course, his hand, because this is how good. In fact, in the box, I'm sure the arm is up like this, that is turned around, and then this is held like that. So that is the position he's in the box, which is pretty good. It is pretty menacing, but it's all about the fact, obviously, that you can bring it up, you can wield it. And again, guys, you guys let me know in the comments. Armada, I always admit this, is a huge black hole in my Transformers knowledge. So it still fits though. Look, he balances. That is brilliant. It balances. Let me push it all the way back. I thought he was going to fall over, then I was going to jinx myself. So he does hold it pretty well, let's be honest. It holds it, and as I was requested to in the comments, this is a huge upgrade to the Star Saber from Armada Starscream. But I can of course bring in Armada Starscream because he's at the side of me right here. Oh, there we go. And I'm not going to bring in any more figures because I think you've seen enough of the size of him. So he's way bigger than that. The Star Saber is of course way bigger than that. I think all I'm going to do, as I say, as a bonus, I wasn't going to do, but I'm going to get him into super mode, and I'm going to attach him to the original Armada Primes trailer, well, the Legacy Armada Primes trailer, just so we can see how he looks like that for the final part. Let me get that sorted. So here we are then, back for the final time, and I've managed to combine him into his super mode, which I've got to say straight away, let's be honest, it does just look odd because the colour schemes don't match up at all. But again, for people who wanted to know if you could do it, yes, you can do it. That sort of proves that you can do it. And it's a shame because, again, this turquoise for the hands, for the bits around here, for the head itself, I just think looks really good. So whether or not we'll get something in the future, I don't know. I'm sure with a lot of people and a lot of fan, perhaps power, maybe they will eventually do it, because look at that head. It looks brilliant. It does go really well. I think the colour scheme, again, with this just really works for me. I think it looks absolutely lovely. And of course, it's got the same articulation as the others. So you've got your bicep flexion, your arms will come out to the side, they'll go all the way around. But the big, of course, plus this time is he's got the giant Star Saber to wield as well, which I'm sure you'll agree makes it that little bit more appealing. And that is where I'm going to pretty much finish off with this. I'm going to, as always, guys, open the comments up to you if there's any more comparisons, anything else you want to see this particular figure with. Again, just to reiterate, unfortunately, I do not have the originals, so I won't be able to do that at all for you. But this is and was a pretty detailed, to be honest, look at, I was going to say Legacy, but it's not. It is, of course, your Armada Nemesis Prime figure. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care.